And I've been looking forward to this one all day because it's a segment where women get to dish about what it's like to be a woman in an industry where most of the products are designed by men, and frankly, for that matter, where most of the people who work in it are men. Carol Campbell, the publisher of Napco Publications, has helped assemble a group of women engineers, VCs, CEOs, journalists, that's me, that are going to look at the good, bad, and ugly parts of being a woman in CE. And we did this in New York, and it was fabulous, so we want to recreate it for all of you. We welcome Carol, and we urge you to join her organization, Women in CE, because together we can get things done, as women always do.
Yay, Andrea.
Take it away.
Hooray, Andrea.
Good to see you.
So welcome, everybody. This is really exciting for us. We just want to have a good time with you and kind of, give you an opportunity to participate as well with Q&A. We've kind of got 4 points that we want to get across, and we're going to get right started with introductions. Of course, Andrea Smith does not need any introduction. Apparently, she's been here all day. But as a digital lifestyle editor at Mashable, she does see the good, the bad, and the ugly as it pertains to products and or the marketing of said products. And we've had some shocking news over the weekend, but I'm sure Andrea will share it with you. Marta Thoma Hall. Marta is the president of a company called Velodyne, and they are a very, yay!
You got your team up there.
Marta's company is historically one of very, very famous high-end audio, and now for the first time have entered the wonderful world of headphones. And that's where Marta comes in. She's really an artist. She's really a designer. So her point of view is very unique in that context of designing products for women by women. So please welcome Marta Hall.
Thank you.
So Sandra is going to tell you what a real title is because apparently it changed 7 months ago. But what we know about Sandra Benedetto is that she's in the product development big leagues. She works for a company called THX. You've probably heard of THX. And THX, of course, as a brand, is integrated with a tremendous amount of other very, very famous brands around the world, globally, that have integrated that technology. And that's basically what Sandra's mandate is to get that product, those products embedded rather with THX technology. So please welcome Sandra Benedetto. Thank you. And last but by no means least, Amy Millman is a really special person to me. CEA introduced me to an organization 2 years ago called Springboard Enterprises, and I was so impressed. I mean, 12 years of putting companies like Marta's in front of VCs, helping them fund, helping them develop, helping them bring to market exciting products. It's a big deal. And how many billions of dollars have you raised?
Oh, it's almost $6 billion now. Yeah.
Okay, $6 billion. So
Nice.
Please welcome Amy with her incredible vision. So here's the lightning round, guys. This is kind of our doer's profile. I'm not a Scotch drinker, but hey, I know enough about advertising to say that this is our doer's profile. So we're going to go, though, from right to left, or however the slides come up. And yes, the only reason that I chose my iPad is because look at my 24-point type, okay? Don't make fun of me. I can read my iPad. I cannot read my iPhone. And that's why iPad is my favorite product. It's a fact. What's your story?
I guess my eyes aren't quite as bad as yours, because for me it's my iPhone, but really I do have a hard time reading it. My iPhone, it just connects me with every single thing I need, which is my home and my family and my work, and I don't know where I would be without it.
So, score 2 for Apple. Marta, you've got a product that nobody knows anything about.
Well, it's a Wacom. I love it because I can draw right on the tablet, and so it reacts to my hand, and I'm used to drawing with a pencil, and so the Wacom is my favorite.
Because she's a designer.
I'm an artist.
And Sandra, besides your other right arm.
So yes, I didn't actually mention a brand because I just said smartphone, but truth be told, it's an iPhone. And it does, for many of the same reasons, keep me connected to work and to family and to fun. So.
And, and really high marks for fun, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where would we be without connecting with fun? We would be pretty sorrowful people. So you like your tablet PC.
Well, actually, the thing is that you have to be really loyal to the people that support you. And so Dell is this huge supporter of women, and so we've been spending a lot of time, and I got the chance to try out their new convertible tablet laptop. And it's just the coolest thing, because for me, all I want is something that does everything all at once. I don't want to have 5 or 6 different things, because I'm always walking around like a bag lady. And so this way, it's one thing.
Okay, so we all have different strokes for different folks, right? But when it boils down to is each and every one of us, I think, have pretty much taken a take on productivity, connectivity, and make it simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid. That's kind of the KISS formula. So that being said, we've been on the floor, some of us, at least a day, maybe 2 days. You just got here, but did you see anything when you were on your way here that is like what's your top thing to go check out if you haven't had a chance to?
Well, what I saw were things that seemed impossible. And I wonder whether they're actually real or somebody's prototype. So I want to go back and say, is this real, or are you just dreaming that it's going to happen? And that's okay. If you're going to dream, it's something to dream for. But
but that's where you come in, right?
Yeah.
If you're still a dreamer, you want to know this woman. So
yeah.
Sandra, what have you seen? Anything?
Well, I haven't been on the show floor much yet. I've been mostly in meetings, but I did get a little bit of time yesterday in the South Hall. So just with that venue alone, one of the things that really intrigued me is this whole notion of the connected home, and in being able to bring in not only what's happening with your mobile devices, but what's happening with security and other types of appliances and lighting and so forth. And coming from the entertainment side of the field and audio and video, that's also one of the things that I'm thinking about is how does audio and video fit in with the connected home, and how does like a large screen flat panel sort of become the hearth of the future in terms of where it could be some command central as well as the point of gaining entertainment information and sort of the connected home. So I'm very intrigued by that and looking at how audio and video and home entertainment can kind of work in that space.
Marta, have you even gotten out of your suite to be able to
Barely. Barely, but on my way back and forth, I passed a couple interesting booths that I need to go back to. One of them is a 3D printer that prints in color. I hadn't seen that before, and I need to go back and touch it and see if it's kind of toy-like or if it's really a material that could be used as an artist for sculpture. And the other booth had some kind of interesting sewing mechanism. It looked like they were sewing with taffy. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
But maybe it's fun. Maybe it's
like what you said. It's like impossible.
Well,
why would they be
maybe
doing
it's
that?
impossible. Right, it's a new thing. Who knew?
On the 3D printers, one of our companies, Ping Fu's Geomagic, she came to Dell World with a pair of shoes that she printed, that she was wearing.
Oh my gosh.
And they were fabulous.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they were like a size 5, so none of us could actually try them on.
I'm gonna add to that. But Andrea, so what have you seen? Have you even been out of this room?
Yeah, no, I've been all over. As my Nike Fuel Band will tell you, we're having a challenge on Mashable amongst all the reporters of who takes the most steps each day.
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, yesterday I was the close second. So I've been all over.
That's cool. That good for you. I hope you win.
Today I'm kind of sitting around. So I've seen, is this real? The flexible, bendable TV screen, and it's cool. And one day maybe an Ultra HD TV is very interesting, and maybe in a few years we'll be able to afford it and see it, and they'll make content for it. But I am particularly interested in all of these devices, these health devices, not just the fitness, but the health, because I think it's such an opportunity for us to really take a look at, what are we doing? Do you sit all day, and are you aware of the fact that you're actually not taking any steps? And looking at one of these will tell you, and it's pretty shocking. And then the other thing is just the opportunity for people to have access to be able to test their blood, or those pulse oximeters, the word I learned, and to see that information without going to a doctor. So I think that that's just really a great trend of people being able to be not just in control, but aware of their health.
Yeah, I was going to say that, personally, obviously my day job is Custom Retailer Magazine, so my beat is the custom channel. And this is the first CES where I've seen connectivity to which you are referring to, and the silver tsunami, which we did not coin, but we know how to steal from the best, which is a great phrase about aging in place, staying in your home longer, being able to be connected, vis-a-vis virtuality to your hospital, your doctor, your healthcare, that kind of thing. And that's such a big beat for CEA, but the connectivity on the custom side, and I say that bringing it to a much more ubiquitous audience and much more affordable, that's cool.
Yeah.
This is kind of a breakthrough, I think, for our side of the channel, if you will. So that's a big deal. Okay, so the 3D printer, Robin's not in the room, but in yesterday's conversation that we had with the Huffington Post, she showed me this same, it is color, 3D, it was a vase, but she referred to the same brand also being made a pair of shoes.
So Ping Fu was the one who set this, maybe 15, 20 years ago at Bell Labs, or maybe it's 25 years ago. They came up with this technology, and now she's using it for manufacturing purposes all over the world. But she's an artist, so she's using it for all kinds of. She makes toys for her grandchildren, and it was a really quite wonderful opportunity. Anyway, some of the jewelry that she had was really incredible.
So it's it's taking the technology and applying it to products that actually make sense for the target audience. And that's one of the things that we really, really wanted to talk about, is that target audience, we being walking, talking demographics of said target audience. And I think you and Sandy and Amy in New York, anyway, we talked at great length about this at one point on stage. And Sandy definitely had a strong point of view. Perhaps she would like to share what her point of view is about where women come into not just the products for, but the product presentation to women.
Yeah, I do think, and I think we have some more work to do here, and we're all responsible for moving it in the right direction. But I feel very strongly, as Carol implied, that women have to now be seen as an economic force. We're out there, we need to be marketed to, not only as, okay, what's our demographic and what's the products that are going to appeal just to women, but in general. I mean, we have, I work in the audio video field. My company is certifying, the first 4K panel that just came to market, here in this, that's actually being sold in Japan in the next couple of months. How is this product being marketed more broadly, not just to the very focused demographic of, 18 to 40-year-old men? Women are spending money. We are making decisions about buying products throughout the home and work. And, I see, and as I look at, because I work in product marketing as well as in the development and engineering side, how do we develop plans and campaigns that actually take women seriously as an economic force, and then actually sell to them? Because you know what? We're leaving money on the table if we don't. I mean, it comes down to economics. And we really do need to look at, as an industry, how this segment, which is women, can build the business. The consumer electronics business is it's a very rapidly changing market landscape. Some people are going up, some people are going down. And if you're not looking at what your full marketplace can be, you're not taking advantage of how you can grow business. So I'm particularly interested in looking at these products that have been traditionally male marketed, and really broadening that up, because women are clearly looking in those areas too. I mean, I made the decision about my flat screen panel. I'm sure many of you did as well, right?
Well, having come to, I guess, in the context of creating women in CE, once upon a time I worked for a magazine called Working Woman Magazine. And what we used to say to each other in terms of strategic planning was that we were planning for the day when a magazine called Working Woman Magazine would be irrelevant.
Right.
It would be obscure, it would be bizarre, it would be over. And that day has come in terms of that magazine. But my point is that, having worked on the custom side of the CE channel, here's the philosophy underlying a course that I started to teach many years ago called How to Sell to Women. I could do it in 50 words or less. Make eye contact, don't talk down to her, and it's her house. What do you think is going to come live in her home without her okay? It's just not going to happen. And that's where the whole flat panel thing took off in terms of, huge, humongous. That's where a big company like Velodyne has moved out of, some of the traditional
Big sound
audio.
in a small box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Amy actually has some really good examples of products that are and have been, so this is going to be yours for the duration, have been very successfully designed by, aimed at, targeted to, and been successful with just this notion of, how important are we as a market segment? Well, 82% of all buying decisions on the work as well as the home side, I'm talking toilet paper to flat panels, is made by women, and that's a fact. So 82%.
Wow.
I look at this a little differently. You look at it from the marketing, I'm looking at it from the design part of view. I think, a lot of these things are designed not with me in mind. They're designed by a bunch of people who think it's cool to design it the way they want. But it has nothing to do with how my life is. And so I'm interested, and I see a lot of women-led, innovator companies that are designing things from their perspective. And that's the thing that I like to switch the conversation over to. If women were designing these things, what would they look like? And how would they operate, and who would they impact? And so I'm hoping I'm going to hit the right button here. No?
Bingo.
There you go. All right, so one of my favorite people sitting right in front, Beth Marcus, yay! So Beth is all right, I'm going to call her the biggest tech nerd that I know. And she's been involved with consumer electronics for a really long time, is a serial entrepreneur and investor.
You guys come out to Bay Area Maker Faire?
And one of the most interesting things about Beth is that she had a child fairly recently. I don't know, how old is she now? Almost not. Well, not a baby anymore. I guess I've known you a little too long now. and so the question was, how do you engage your children using consumer electronics, and and what's not available, and how do you actually use what's out there and redesign it or reconfigure it to curate something for children, so it sort of takes the place of a nanny in a way and educates them at the same time. And so I've been watching Beth while she's been doing gadgets and gizmos and widgets and all kinds of things that interact with consumer electronics. And then finally she said, listen, I need my daughter to be engaged and excited. And she developed a system of curating content inside of any whether it's the laptop or the tablets or whatever, and make it so that we can control what our children are watching and looking at in a way that's engaging and fun and interesting. And so that's one. Again, her pedigree is undeniable. She's got the street cred on building the devices, but also now in what are we going to do with these devices? Yeah, well, she says it's hard work no matter how many times you do it. And we're a testament to that. We've been working with you on 2 of your companies for quite some time. And it's pushing rocks uphill, but eventually people begin to see, wow, there is a market for this. And and you've just raised a bunch of money, so we're pretty excited about that, to see how that goes.
So I'm very interested in how old does your program go up to? Because I'm interested in pornography. To tell you the truth, up to 10. No, I'm interested in that because I raised 3 girls, and that pornography is on there so much, and it's so accessible. Does this, it'd be good to have something that addresses it. Isn't it confusing to kids? Isn't it totally confusing to be like looking for a game and have a porno thing come up? To me, that's really offensive.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's exactly
must
what
be
Is
that-
there
curation,
that's
something-
just what Playrific is about.
This is, we need to do that in the
Right.
future.
Well,
I just,
and this
you
is
know,
it. Is how do you curate?
Right.
You know, you can go and look at everything that's out there, and then make it a part of your library.
yeah, we should do that.
Well-
we should absolutely do that. I mean, if you think about affecting culture, that's affecting culture.
Well,
You know, it's
you ha-
affecting helping our
sounds
kids
like-
be
sounds like she's got it,
educated,
she's doing it.
helping
So,
our
Marta,
kids be
it's done.
educated.
It's done.
So it's done.
So
You
it's
got to
done.
talk to her.
Okay, but my
Perfect.
problem with pornography, what about that?
Well,
I want that solved.
Unfortunately,
for
that can't-
18, no, for 13 to 16-year-olds, when girls are getting their
Well.
self-esteem and they see themselves as objects, you know.
So
in
I see what
pornography.
you're saying, though. What
Right.
you're asking about is the age level, Beth, that this
Right.
particular
Yeah.
configuration, aggregation of content. So I have a feeling that she's taking notes, because I have a feeling
Right.
that might be the third business
Well, I'm
that
just-
she gets off the ground, because she obviously
Yeah.
knows how
Right.
to filter the information, and that this is a good way to do it.
Right.
I think that'd be so brilliant because, you know, here we are as a bunch of women involved in consumer electronics, and to me, this is it's a huge
Yeah, if
issue.
we can't fix the problem, who can, right?
Right.
Because
if
we're
we
very,
don't
very
care
personal.
about, look at our kids
well, and so speaking of
exposed to this.
speaking of problems, so the next one.
That's
one.
it. The next
Can I
solution.
get to the next solution?
And I'm not a prude. I'm just saying it because I think
Where do I-
women
do I
are
point this
involved in
somewhere?
protecting the next generation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We're involved.
So
Here, you
you
wanna
went
go forward?
backwards, so
I went
go
backwards.
in the other
Yeah, so
direction.
go, oh, you're still going backwards. So go the other way, Amy. Just go the other way. Nope, the other
Nope.
way.
The other way.
There you go.
Good. And the
Okay.
next
There
one.
you go.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
you're there.
So problem solved. That's what I call
Right,
the
right.
Roomba. And what happened was that there was no time to clean. So, you know, so you can go out and buy yourself something, but then you have to use it. And what happens if you have no time and you will have to go pick up the kids and you've got to go all of it? What do? So you're sitting there and you know robotics and you figure out what's an applicable thing that I could use. So Helen Greiner was sitting there saying, I haven't been to my house, you know, to do anything. Forget laundry. She hasn't figured out the laundry part yet, but I haven't figured out, so I am going to go and develop something that can vacuum before my mother comes over and gets really upset about things. And so they started fooling
universal
around with these robots and teaching them how to do things. And she said, wow, we could actually add a little sweeper underneath it. And you know, that was what, 2004, or 2002, 2003. You know, people said this is sort of silly, nobody's going to buy it. And honestly, you know, that was what put them on the map. They're a public company now. And now she's developing aerial robots. I think I have a picture. I wish I had the video for this one so you could see. But they've actually got these robots now, these drones, these small little drones that will go all over the place. And I thought, wow, this is what I really could have used for my kids.
They do?
I
love that.
created the luge, right? The gutter cleaner and the luge. Yeah. I
And I
mean,
could have used this for my child as I was trying to follow him as he was leaving the house and I didn't know where he was going.
Yeah,
Well,
good
and
idea.
these are the products that I think that Andrea, being our representative of the journalist community, you know, how do these products come to your attention? Obviously, you walk your little butt off here at CES to see product. We always enjoy your company in New York at line shows, but isn't it more people coming to you, bringing you the message, trying to get your attention?
absolutely. I mean, it's mostly people sending me, you know, hey, look at this really ingenious thing or this innovative thing. And, you know, sometimes it's, that's not really innovative. You know, I've seen that 5 times already, sorry. And really what gets my attention is the product that solves a problem.
Right.
Tech that solves a problem. You know, bring me a solution to something and I will take a look at it. And, you know, it's all well and good to show me, you know, another app. I like apps, they're really great. It's great to show me, you know, more phones and more phone cases, and those are all good too. But bring me something that is going to say, here's how to save time, here's how to be more efficient, here's how to manage and organize your life and watch your kids all in one, and I'm sold. Send it to me, even if it takes two devices. Send it to me, we'll take a look at it. And if I can't look at it, there's a whole lot of women in the newsroom who are happy to do that. And it really has to stand out.
Well, you know, I think that kind of lends ourselves to a little bit of Q&A here. So Marta has already weighed in on the problem on her mind that deserves the attention for a next solution. Amy's taking notes, so is Beth, you know, the innovative people in this room. So, but just as a point of conversation with you, our audience, so what else? What's the biggest problem that you would recommend that any innovator, any smart person, anybody coming to Amy's organization for funding, anybody coming to try to get Andrea's attention to share with the universal world of you know, consumers that are interested in technology solutions? So what are those problems as they particularly pertain to women or not? Yes.
My name is Stephanie. I'm with allrecipes.com. I don't know, probably some of you guys have heard about us here. We create a lot of apps, and our audience is predominantly women. Our website, of course, is recipes. And our apps have a lot to do with making things like, you know, the 4:30, 5 o'clock, what am I going to make for dinner question easier to answer. And as we build apps, I'm wondering, to your point, like, I want an app that does these 18 things. It makes my life easier. It makes my, you know, maybe in our case, it would be, makes my grocery shopping easier. It makes
Right.
my keeping track of inventory in my pantry easier. It makes cooking dinner easier. It makes, you know, is it better to have an app that does a ton of different things, a really wide range, or would you say focus on doing one thing right and making a bunch of different apps just to meet one certain need and then another app for
You know, it's interesting because I think people sometimes look at apps and say, oh, this is going to change my life. And then if they get too complex and try to do too many things, it's too overwhelming, too confusing, and that's it. They try it once and they don't go back to it. And studies, really, surveys have shown people download all these apps, they buy them, they get them on their phone, they've got 5 screens of apps, they try to organize them. There are 6 or 7 apps that people use most frequently. That's it. It's not even a top 10. So I think if you find one thing that makes somebody's life easier and you can do it well and do it easily, that's brilliant.
So can I add a piece onto this? Because yes, I understand you don't want to overcomplicate anything. But to that respect, what I've seen lately is prompts or you know, if you want to go and learn a little bit about the, you know, something in the recipe or where you can get it, or, you know, what Bobby Flay or Giada De Laurentiis have to say about, you know, how they've used it or a story that goes along with it. You know, I want to know that. I don't want to have to go to someplace else to find it.
Well, you know, what you say to me sounds like the exponentiality of the stuff on the DVD that's really interesting about how the movie was made, or the character
Exactly.
that it's really focusing on, or the fashion of the costume period that it represents, which is really kind of cool stuff. I mean, you know, after you've watched Downton Abbey 122 times, you know, you got to kind of watch the backstory stuff too. I'm just saying. So, but yeah, I see your point exactly.
And
I mean,
think about this.
that
all right?
interests me
So my
too.
daughter and I were making cookies, all right, and we didn't have baking soda. So, you know, we're going to the recipe app and we're looking at this whole thing and it says baking soda, and we said, all right, we don't have any baking soda. What do we use instead of baking soda? Mm-hmm. There's always something. That would have been the coolest thing to have been able to say, we noticed that you don't have baking soda.
Substitute, yeah.
And you know, do this instead.
And what was the answer?
Well, we had to go to the joy of cooking.
Well, there you go.
Through
to the
and pace
basics.
through all this stuff.
But to that point, I
Interesting.
think that, you know, I'm sort of with Andrea in that if it gets overcomplicated in one app, it gets too cumbersome. But again, I kind of go back to, you know, looking at connectivity and sharing data, right? And if data's in the cloud and you have things that are there that can speak to, oh, this is going to speak to my calendar app and this is going to speak to my shopping list app, you know, you're managing what your app does probably is managing the information. There's some cool stuff that you present directly to the user, but the real value you bring is how you're
Exactly.
connecting and talking to other things, other apps and
And
other
it's
pieces
interesting
that are
that
important.
product categories so far are very domestic oriented. To be able to kind of manage our domesticity, those chores, those errands. I know you hate Saturday morning chores, so you say. I love
hate
them.
all
I love them
chores.
because I get to check stuff off that I got done.
Well,
I mean,
if I could just do like a little plug on a similar, not so much domestic. My team and I are about to submit an app, an iOS app, followed by an Android app, for letting the average person, man or woman, helping them understand how do I adjust and set my settings on my television. And what we do is that
Who better?
is what we just present some simple tutorials, and our narrator is a woman, I might add, because we want to make things, open and accessible. And what we do is we provide some very simple THX developed images and patterns, but then we provide a photograph for everything.
I love it.
So if I'm setting aspect ratio and I've got some pattern there, well, that's kind of geeky, but we show you a photo of a bicycle wheel and what you should be looking for. And we point things out. We have a Sunday plate of ice cream that we say you got to find the edge of the ice cream. We try to make it fun, and we give them some cool things from THX and trailers and so forth. We have a little moo can that plays through your speakers to test if your speakers are up. And it's that kind of, trying to make something a little bit more productive and helping people understand something that could be kind of like, I don't want to know that, but make it fun. And we also collect data so we can get back to people about things that they may need further help on.
so you're
Well,
the
there's
21st. Let's say the 21st century version of no more blinking VCR
Oh,
lights.
I hate that.
That's
Right.
your cause celeb.
Right.
Probably somewhere here on the show floor is Show Me How.
Yeah.
Or
that's
show
a
you-
good one.
Show Me How. And so on your electronics, you have this link that will say, how do you put this stupid thing together? For me.
So there is such a thing?
Yeah.
Or there is
Yes.
not?
Yeah.
There is?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I want that. Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
Actually, more companies are using, people aren't adopting it, but more companies are using QR codes. So if you
Right.
scan this QR code,
It'll
it'll
show.
take you to a video, which
Right.
will show you
That's right.
how to use
and
it.
that's what she did with this. with
And
this
that's
great
really the
company.
That's great.
innovation. I think
That's
is the show me
fantastic.
how,
Awesome.
a video, any kind of tutorial that's visual is definitely, that's the hot ticket. I mean, there's a lot of statistics about that now, but exponentially, we're all going to be witnessing and seeing, which I think is just kind of back to the basic communication style that, there's a lot of different ways to learn. There's oral, there's visual, there's experiential, right? So, and I don't want to generalize in terms of how women and products that are speaking to women are really, best, because it's really a very individual thing. But there is such a thing as how do we best react to the messaging? Is it something that's simple? Is it something that's clear? Is it something that helps take away our the intimidation? And that could speak to a new recipe versus a new car, right? It doesn't have anything to do with the slant of the product. So I think that's where the product development kind of switch here in our conversation is really an important factor. And Marta is a product developer, and you've had a very unique experience. You've really used a lot of tools that most people may not have any access to whatsoever, having taken, again, on the challenging world of Velodyne into the headphone arena, but specifically with women in mind. What was your driving force?
Well, my driving force was to make a product that I liked and I needed, which was a headphone that is light and comfortable and attractive. Not too ostentatious or too. I don't like the aviator look that much, and so I went for the slim, very slim to your ear kind of thing, and I think I made it beautiful. And fortunately, I work with David, who is an amazing genius at sound, and so we came up with a headphone that has both the sound and the art and put it together. As far as women go, I think it's also huge for men, but it's obvious to women that you don't want something that's uncomfortable. It has to be comfortable.
And you don't want something that's ugly. I mean, please.
You don't want it
I mean,
ugly,
if
you don't want it uncomfortable, and you don't want it to give you a headache because it's so heavy. That's the other big issue with headphones, is you put them on, and after 10 minutes, I have a very sensitive head. I don't like stuff on my head necessarily. And someone's laughing out there.
She's not a hat
I have the
person.
same
is what
thing. I
she's
can't put a
trying to
bobby
say.
pin in my
I
hair.
hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, bobby pin in my hair,
Forget
I'll get a
it.
headache.
Same thing. So here's
Yeah.
the thing. So, after being in broadcasting for 20-something years, I go to a website, and, it's a different culture, and everybody who works there has headphones on. It's like, the new cubicle. Everyone's got headphones.
Exactly.
They're in their own
It's
world.
an isolated
So they either have
environment.
earbuds or they've got these big, huge,
Yeah.
headphones, noise isolating headphones. First of all, I can't talk to anyone. I'm like, hello.
yeah.
And they jump. Like, you're talking to me? Just,
That's right.
ping me on
Just
Google
email
Chat.
me. Yeah.
Email
Just
me.
ping
Just
me.
3 feet away from me,
3
but
feet
email
away.
me.
Right.
So that's the first time I'm like, well, I guess I better get some headphones, right? I've got to
Right.
do like they're doing and, look
Get
like
with it.
them. So, I
gotta
call
blend.
up I call up Monster, I call up Logitech. Hey, send me some headphones because I want to, blend in with these kids. Pair after pair after pair. Too big, hurt my ear, gave me a headache. Too small, I don't like it. It was like, a college course trying to figure out what kind of headphones I liked.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard. I told David, I found some bigger pads for the headphones that we're putting out, and I put them on, and I said, David, now I finally have a headphone I like. I've made 3. And even the ones that I put on, I'm such a perfectionist that it's still not right.
So what are you doing that's unique, do you think, at this stage? Because I know you're kind of in the rollout part of your
Right.
plan. But to kind of also talk about what the right strategy is to get the attention of your target audience, i.e., you're targeting women with this particular product. And as Sandra said, there's a slew of products that ought to be targeting women that are much more traditionally, let's say, exclusive. But what are you doing? What are your tactics to make that message clear to women? Do you have any thoughts about what you're trying to get across?
Right. We do offer skins that go on the headphones, which I think go along with what you're saying in terms of what I like on a headphone, and that's the idea that you can personalize the experience.
Okay, so variety and
Yes,
and
yes.
customization.
And customization, because for women, if you're wearing bright colors, then you want something very subdued. You don't want to stand out. If you're going to a party and you want to make a big statement, maybe you want a headphone with feathers on it. Who knows?
Well, this is a
But I
great
think
town to
it's
find out things
part
you can
of-
do with feathers, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
well, it's part of life is to have a bit of fun. And I think women are in touch with that and fashion. So we have 25 different types of skins that go on our headphones.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, there you go. Show
Yeah,
and tell.
and I mean, Beats came out with exchangeable headbands. Some have studs, some have patterns on them, but they're heavy and they're stupid. It's like they're really stupid. And-
Actually, they did at this show.
Well,
These are
no
really
one says
light.
me.
They did
Really
at
light.
this show introduce their interchangeable headbands with feathers on them.
Oh, they
And-
did?
Yes, yesterday. And one is like kind of spiky. If you're going down to the West Village,
Right.
there's spikes, and others
Yeah,
are.
but
Yeah, a
they did
lot
it
of ink, a
stupid.
lot of
It's
piercing.
stupid. I'm not talking about feathers that are stupid.
But what's so
I
interesting
mean
to
something
me about
really
that-
elegant.
They are responding, clearly, right? They're responding
are
to the market, they're responding to the,
We call it painting the gun pink.
Right.
Oh gosh, that's good.
That's what we call
That
it.
is good.
It's still a gun.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
It's still not, it's just pink.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So we
and,
don't want that.
That is
yeah, there's so
brilliant.
many examples of that type of, just
Let me- you guys-
misguided approaches. I worked with a company years ago called Tomboy Tools. I mean, all these women in Colorado, really bright, and they got the idea because, a lot of hardware people were trying to really kind of, talk to the chick market with like pink, hammers or lighter weight hammers, like as if
Lightweight.
like that's
Lightweight
going to
hammer
hang the
that doesn't do
picture.
the job.
I mean, it was, and to your point, it was just stupid, right? It was just
It's
lame.
pink.
So what they came up with, to my point about learning styles, they came up with who grew up with Tupperware, or at least your mom grew up with Tupperware parties. So what these women do is this whole scenario of, I want to build a spa bathroom. And that's a party, and here's the tools, and here's the plans, and so it's women helping women understand, what they want to achieve and having an end game, and that's how they're selling their product, and it's brilliant. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant because it really is a style of communicative, collaborative, just kind of the nurturing and the fundamental of women in CE being, the mentor, concept. So you get your fair share of the good, bad, and ugly of trying to communicate products to you. Do you have any really bad ones you want to share?
I think I know which one you're referring to.
This is so bad, it's good. And I say that because we all agreed, right, on the phone that we were going to
went around to the
yeah, we were going to stay on the right path, right, of what's good and what really works. But this is so outrageous. You guys have to hear this.
This is so bad. Wow.
What's feedback?
So, are we picking up another panel somewhere?
You know, it's
Yeah.
I'll just talk over them. I'll keep talking. So you don't even want to know how many pitches about CES. I won't even show you my unread email inbox number. But pitch after pitch after pitch. Come see my product, come see this, come see this. And of course, everyone, that's your job. You need to make a splash and get my attention, and that's fine. I get it. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So a number of everyone in the tech industry got a pitch, maybe about a week ago, that had a picture of a woman. All you saw was the bright, juicy, silky, wet red lips. And the subject was, "Come see my V-spot." And it was one of those, like, I'm
Oral
not
is
even
better,
opening
I believe.
this.
I think the tagline was oral is better.
Wait a minute. Was it come see or come play?
Oh, no, it was
Come
come
play,
play,
my
come play.
Yeah.
Thank
Because
you.
I remember. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And we all kind of looked at each other like,
Come play
what?
with.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what was the
right.
tagline?
I think it was like, oral is better.
Oral is
better.
Oh, I
better.
didn't see that. Okay,
And
wow.
it was, I couldn't even imagine what this was for. I'm like, well, they don't have the Adult Entertainment Expo at the same time anymore, so I'm not really sure. It was for a speaker. It was for a speaker company. And I thought, this is crazy. I was unfortunately way too busy to take them on, so I just deleted it. But a colleague in the tech industry wrote a great op-ed about, are you kidding? Are we not past this? And it really was like, there's no way I'm coming to your booth. There's no way I'm looking at your product ever, ever, ever. And is there no woman on your marketing team that said, hello, not a good idea?
Right.
But your post was brilliant. I mean, your post was absolutely brilliant. I love the part about, so maybe you think I'm a hairy-legged feminist that has responded to this, but you are sorely wrong because that has absolutely nothing to do with common sense.
Right.
Well, that was kind of the wrong approach, I think.
Well,
I
we
think
did
they're
the
wrong.
same thing. All of our domains and everything were all on GoDaddy. And after the first year that they did their Super Bowl, we all thought about it. We thought, well, all right, maybe it was a one-time deal. But the second year,
Right.
we said, we're moving. And
What did they do that
Yeah,
offended
GoDaddy
you?
is
'Cause
offensive.
I don't know your
just
reference.
offensive
They did
commercials.
a
Your
commercial.
advertisements.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean,
Okay.
obviously, it works for them.
Stupid.
I didn't think that they should change, but it wasn't something that I needed to participate.
Right.
Right.
That our organization needed to
So
participate.
you're very sensitive to protecting your constituents
Sure.
for products and services and just
It's just bad for our brand.
GoDaddy
Yeah.
was
Right.
speaking
Right.
to
You don't wanna be
to men.
associated with
That's
it.
it.
But this
That's
goes
not to you at
back
all.
to
That's right.
being an economic force. You
Yeah.
voted with your pocketbook.
That's
You
right.
said, you know what? I don't want to be associated with this. I'm paying you money. I'm going to put
Right.
my
Enough.
money into right. It's sending the wrong message out, and so that's really where I think we have to really understand what we're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an
And you do have a
Be
choice.
conscious.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and if this
Exactly.
brand could stumble so badly, so badly, because, of course, sadly, nobody ever got fired for creating a buzz, okay? This is a fact,
Yeah,
right?
right,
So
absolutely.
this brand has succeeded in creating a buzz. I mean, there's no question about it. But here's my point is, so, if that is such a sensitive issue, how do you, because you speak, on behalf of a lot of different brands that you work with, how do you counsel what is the good, what is the right, what is the path and the process of the path to make those judgments so the message is appropriate and the product is presented to an audience, assuming that it's designed and aimed at a woman, particularly on the technology side. Cleaning a house, I get that. But if it's something that's more ubiquitous than that, what's the process, Amy, that you spend time with your
The most important thing is to know
principals?
who your market is.
Right.
And if you know who your market is, and you know, and you've done your homework, and you know what they want, and you've constantly been going back, iterating and going to determine what that market, your target market is looking for, you won't make those mistakes. But again, that company, just like GoDaddy, they knew what their market was, or that's what they wanted, but they were missing a tremendous market elsewhere. And maybe they don't need it. But ultimately in the past, I remember years
You're a
and
big
years.
fan of inclusivity, not exclusivity.
Well,
so,
that's right. I mean, you
yes.
don't want to narrow your market so narrow. You don't want to lose it. But I remember a long time ago, GM talked about how they were marketing to women. And they said, and one of the biggest things that the women said, other than color, were their cup holders. And I thought, the whole car is designed for color and cup holders? You know, how bizarre.
Really?
That really simplifies us.
Well, and you know, though, and I know you like Dell, but I have to say,
Ridiculous.
Dell was many years ago, Dell was one of the first companies to come out with their pink laptop marketed to women. And that, you know, that started the whole, let's put out, you know, laptops in colors and see if we get the women to, you know, say, oh, I want that one because it's pink. Didn't go over well.
No.
So who's coming to you though with great branding that you know that gets you excited, that not beyond the product, but you're impressed with their messaging?
Well, I think, you know, some of the bigger companies that have marketing teams who've been doing it for a long time, who have been making products for a long time. You know, Logitech, I have to say, they do make nice headphones. Some of them appeal to women. A lot of their products appeal to men and women. I think their messaging is always on target. Belkin does it well. I mean, there's a number of companies that do it well. It can be done. I just don't understand saying, well, we're going to, you know, I know we might piss off a few women, but we're going for the men here. Like, I was walking through the show yesterday, and again, I know we've gotten rid of the booth babes at every table, but I was walking through the show yesterday, and literally there was a naked woman standing there. Her body was painted in different colors. I think she had underwear on. Painted in different colors, and she was standing, you know, still as if she was a model staring out. And there were men within 3 inches of her body taking her picture, and I'm like, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Again, I have no idea. I think it was a music company, but you know, you just run the risk of offending so many people.
Well, but that wasn't
And
the
it's
case
the risk.
before.
Right.
That
right.
wasn't the case.
It
That
wasn't,
was
there
why
was no
people
politically
came-
correct before.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
and
again,
that
it's,
is-
you know, I'll, because people will go back and forth politically correct. I absolutely agree with you. But again, you know, if you're not going to change attitudes, then talk about economics. You know, you're losing you're leaving a lot of business on the table by not being
But
inclusive.
think about this.
Think about that.
But who's here? How many women compared to how, you know, if this is your market, and
And
they're
yeah.
85% male
Mostly men,
here,
yeah.
And that's
then
where the
you're gonna
marketing
focus
decisions
on
are
that
made.
market.
Well, I
Yeah.
think this is you know, I mean, for me, you know, in terms of how do we bring more women into this field? I mean, maybe that's the segue into.
That is definitely the segue, Sandy.
We really want
job.
to, you know, we really want to bring more women into the field to get a different, you know, a different
Exactly.
and more expanded sensibility. How do we provide that venue for the younger women to say,
think
come
we-
on, we're reaching out.
Yeah, we
wanna be
educate them in math, and we, you know, reward them for going into math. And David, I've heard somebody say there's something like a program called Leave No Engineer Behind.
Really?
I think it's a great idea.
Well,
Yeah,
if not, we'll start one.
that's right.
Actually, one of the suggestions that was made for many of these shows where you don't see a lot of women is to bring women in to be like secret shoppers.
Absolutely.
And to have them go around and to report on everything they see and how
Feedback.
it affects their lives.
Exactly, feedback, and how does it
that's
impact, you know.
good. At the
I
show?
mean, it's a great idea, and a really
Awesome.
bright new brand might be thinking about that. It's a really good idea. And two things that we're doing, obviously, our forum in New York, which our tech year is coming up on June 25th. We'll be back at the Rubin Museum of Art. The talent pool that we're working on and the program, which Amy's a big part of. Sandy's probably going to be one of Amy's judges by the time we get done with her tonight.
Yeah, already done.
Andrea will always have a role, believe me. Velodyne's already committed the headphones to the event, so you know it's not like we don't have a secret society here, right? But we do have a mission, and that is that it really is our new tagline for this 2013 is to empower your entrepreneurial spirit. So regardless of, you know, the big cog in the wheel or, you know, sole proprietorship, it's really about a skill set. So that's one thing that we're doing. The other thing that we're doing, we've talked a little bit about this, but it's something that was brand new to me. You know, shame on me, where have I been? But how many of you know who Dean Kamen is? Okay, so for the rest of you, Dean Kamen is this amazing gentleman who happened to invent the Segway, happened to invent a lot of other very empowered, and seriously, this is his beat, save the world. I mean, and it burns him that kids are so enamored with sports figures, and so his goal is to enamor kids with math and science and innovation, and. For 22 years in 66 countries, there are teams of kids, boys and girls, little kids, medium kids, kids that climb on rocks, you know, big kids. And Women in CE is in the process of adopting one of their teams called FIRST. And it stands for something, and I don't remember. Do you remember? I don't remember, but it's a great program. It's a great program. And these kids, they build robotics, and they build robots, and they compete. The Black Eyed Peas comes to their version of the Super Bowl halftime. This is a big deal. Right. And we're talking with them obviously about also, you know, coming to the forum and sharing this because people like Debbie Schaefer, who's sitting in the back row, want to know about this program and adopt a team of FIRST kids. That's what she wants to do because she's a total community, retail-based entrepreneur, and that's why you want to do that. So we want to lead the way with adopting a team on behalf of Women in CE.
That's awesome.
So, you know, there's a lot of this stuff that's going on.
You know,
how come we don't know about it?
I was recently introduced to a group that started in DC called Code Now, which focuses on economically disadvantaged kids to help them start learning about how to code. They claim they have 48% of their kid group are young women, and they're moving to New York. So I said, call me, we're gonna figure out how we can work together and start moving this through New York. I mean, so there are groups that are doing this and trying to make it, you know, I mean, you know, to be cool means, I mean, I'm from New York. I know that if I want to be considered cool, I don't say so. So, but, you know, to be cool now is to be, you know, be a nerd. You know, and we want to encourage young women, you know, and girl nerds as well as the young boy nerds. You know, and provide that cachet and that fun and that hey, this is the right thing to do. And you know, so I think everywhere we can, we have the responsibility to you know, to bring that, you know, to young women and to young men who don't have the same opportunities.
And we only isolate the young women, and that's why it's been such a joy to be working with such brilliant, smart, talented innovators amongst yourselves in this bigger mission, and that is to, you know, make the math science, make the artistic, make the innovation, make the career change after 25 years more, you know, freeing as opposed to frightening, and really give, you know, young women the opportunity to see themselves as entrepreneurs, owners, sole proprietors, and, you know, the next Helen or Beth. So thank you all for coming.
You know what, we have about 5 minutes
for Q&A.
questions.
Yeah.
Super.
If anybody has any questions, we do have a little bit of time.
And there is a mic there if you feel uncomfortable that we can't hear you.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of research in STEM fields and academia, which has led to things like colleges stopping to take their clock to women and children because they recognize the force of burden that this is to keep women in engineering because the problem is not simply going in, but staying.
That's right.
Level. So in the private sector, do you feel there's a need maybe for a similar level of research, or maybe what kind of workplace policies could help keep women in engineering, not just get them in?
Well, I mean,
You know,
I think it's the same approach, right? I mean, we have to look at, you know, in my opinion, there's a difference between time at work and productivity, right? And I think that, you know, productivity needs to be emphasized, and there needs to be that same level of support and flexibility. And the fact is that women are the childbearers. I mean, there are certain biological things we're not going to be able to change. So what's changing in the workplace to be able to support that so that women don't have to leave the workplace and, you know, have these gaps in their, you know, in their career and still contribute? Because again, I'm always looking at what's been left on the table, and we don't want to leave that level of contribution out. But that's got to translate also into productivity in dollars and cents, and that's where I think the research needs to be. And how can you if you're an academic, how can you translate that into real information and data that supports that?
That will let companies know that it's okay to do
That's
that.
right.
Because I have to share with you, I mean, my son's 21. So 22 years ago, I was one of the first job shares at ABC News. And I did that when my son was born, and I gave up my position and shared with another person at ABC. And we did it for a number of years. And 2 or 3 people did it after us, and it stopped. And it was so sad for me to see, you know, we were such, you know, early innovators in that. And it really helped me evolve my career while I had time with my son as well. And then, of course, when he was old enough to hate me and not need me, I went back.
So predictable.
Bye. Thanks for giving me your life.
Predictable.
Love those teenage years.
So glad I kept my career. But, you know, it's just so sad to see that it's not that way anymore, and that women have to not only take care of their kids and their family, but put in, and today it's not even 40 hours. It's, you know, 50, 60 hours a week, proving themselves, I'm Superwoman and I can do it all. And guess I'm here to tell you, you can't do it all. You can't. So I think that companies really need to see the benefit of having a happy parent,
Right.
you know, who's going to be
And
more
a
productive.
Exactly.
And it's interesting you say that, because obviously coming up through the ad sales side in the 80s, a great deal of my contemporary women shared the job, and it worked for them as well. But I will share with you, you know, in terms of policy, I'll just give you an example. I work for a privately owned company, and I've been here 6 years, and I've known the team forever, but I was so impressed. My company pays the kids of our employees for good grades.
Awesome. Wow.
Whoa.
I mean, how cool is that? I mean, it so sends the message that, you know, it's 6 o'clock. I'm not impressed that you're still sitting at your desk because you're a workaholic and you're a killer. I'm not impressed that you're not home having dinner with your kid and working with them on their homework. So, you know, there's just such a visceral way to show your support. And I learned that, and I was like very impressed. I mean, very impressed.
Is there one more
There was
question?
a couple other questions.
In the back? Can you stand
could
up a
you
little
come
bit? We
to the
can't
mic?
hear you.
There's-
I
Sorry.
can't hear
Sorry.
you.
There is a microphone
does
up
have-
here, which might really help you.
Right in the
here.
center here.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
That's okay. You're great. Gonna do great. Go ahead.
What do you think about the role of gender stereotypes in orienting certain types of products towards men or women?
Well, I think we've probably tried to take on that topic specifically today, that, you know, there's 2 sides to that coin. Amy's point, know your audience. You know, if your audience is targeted, you know, a product for a woman's solution to a problem that is strictly a female problem, then exclusivity is appropriate. If it's a ubiquitous product, you know, I think that the cup holders is a really good example. I worked at Working Woman magazine in 1984, and it was the first year that the data came back that most of the cars, you know, it had reached more than 50% in Detroit were being sold to women. Of course, our assumption was, gee, they were probably buying cars to drive to work. What do you think? You know?
Yeah.
Just a guess, guys. But point is that, you know, that was 1984. I've since shopped for cars, maybe some of you have too, and inevitably, if I'm with my husband or any other male, my checkbook, my credit card, my lease that I'm turning in is irrelevant, and it's 2013. So products that are intended for men and women, you know, any and all shape, size, and whatnot, really need to drill down. I think the automotive industry is a good example of sort of a mirror image of our industry. It really needs to drill down to figure out just that. Maybe that BMW is not targeted to me because it's supposed to make me feel like James Bond, and I don't care if I feel like James Bond. You know, maybe that's the pitch, but that's my point of view.
But
you guys,
yeah, but I think that's a very smart question because, you know, we've talked here today about things that solve women's problems, but historically, women's problems, especially in the home, have been gender stereotype. So how do we we develop products that break down? I mean, that's a big task, right? Because that's a cultural and societal thing.
Exactly.
But how do products then evolve so that they're not targeting people based on gender stereotype, and yet also taking into consideration knowing who your audience is? You know, understanding what their needs are, being able to solve their problems. I mean, all of that has to, you know, when you design and build a product, you really have to look at the totality of who your target market is to be able to say, well, maybe I can't address everything, but this is what I plan to address.
Right, and there's so many characteristics that are universal about men and women. I mean, we're just humanity. And maybe, say, with the headphone issue, it is absolutely not aimed at women. It's aimed at comfort. And that's universal for humanity. And maybe I just happen to think of it, but it turns out that a lot of people do respond to it a lot. Comfort as well as lightweight. And that's not a male or female thing. It ends up being just a human comfort situation.
I think men like cup holders too.
I do too.
Well,
Lots of
so
them.
here's the thing. I think that there may have been things that have come from traditional female markets that everyone has benefited from. So, you know, it's again keeping that sort of wide view and casting a wider net while focusing on your target market and looking at how you grow it. Also, I mean, it's business development.
I just had a quick question, because you guys keep talking about target market, and I get that. But you know, the future of our target market, say, of a specific product is going down in age so dramatically.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's you know, it was maybe 18 to 24-year-old women, and now it's like 12 to 18-year-olds. I mean, how do we adjust so quickly? I mean, I have a 7-year-old son who, you know, will walk into a restaurant and say, "Excuse me, what's your Wi-Fi password?"
Yeah.
You know, we talk about Apple and iPad and our favorite products, but they're also our children's favorite products.
Right.
And I know apps and stuff are very, you know, great for kids and stuff, but at some point, you know, once that transition, how do we change our target market to, you know, address the children there, you know, both boys and girls and things like that. But I mean, it just seems to be going so quickly that our changing in market. How do we?
I think technology is really spurring that change, don't you guys? I mean, that's something that I think is inevitable at this stage. And Robin had a gentleman on this broadcast yesterday with the Huffington Post, and I thought he was really smart because he was talking about different toys and at different ages, that it's very different in terms of the level of engagement of technology, but always that there's still the balance of riding your bike, playing outside. You know, these things are not one or the other, that they have
They need
to
to
be
coexist.
and balanced.
And I think as, right.
You don't want to market to them, but you know, in reality, my son will be like, "Oh, mom, no, this one. I like the iPhone better than the Android."
But, you know, and that's a real challenge. You know, I mean, the woman here is building curation software for children. I mean, because in that case, you've got to figure out that your target market are the parents and the kids. Because the kids don't have the buying power, but they're going to be pushing the parents.
They have the
and
nudge
parents are
power.
going to be looking at, yeah. So, I mean, it's, you know, so you have to kind of look at what is your product, you know, because a lot of the things that I work on right now in my career are not relevant to the age of your son, but certainly relevant to the age of my nephew, who's, you know, 18. So.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, I think you're right. Sometimes it surprises me how very, very young children already have, you know, facility for things that, you know, I have absolutely no idea how to use or what to do with. There's somebody back there.
I had to call my son, my 7-year-old son, and take him out of his class 2 years ago to get
Oh, boy.
Well, and I
Digital
think that,
natives.
Yeah,
That's what they are.
Digital natives.
Digital natives. And so
love
you
it.
all
Oh,
need
annoying.
to come to Kids at Play next year and hear the morning portion of this because that's addressed in depth.
And you know, we were so blessed with a terrific program this past June. Kathy Black is an author, former magazine chairwoman of Hearst magazines, but I worked for her at USA Today 28 years ago. And so, you know, I remember her adopting her first son and adopting her daughter. And of course, you know, having seen somebody 28 years later, so what's new? Well, you know. But I thought her comment was really apropos of wrapping up. She said that when the kids left home, her IT department basically left home. So she was. So with that, we really respectfully let you go at 5 o'clock. You've been a great audience, and we appreciate your full day's attention. And thanks for joining us.
Have fun.